Hi, welcome back to my channel, Beautiful Minutia. If you're new here, my name is Tiffany and I am vlogging KOREADATHON. I'm so excited. So KOREADATHON takes place from March 7th through March 13th. And basically throughout that week, your goal is just to read Korean books. This readathon is hosted by Books with Chloe and Monica Kim. So I will link their channels down below so you can check them out. But I wanted to take just a short amount of time and share with you some of the books that I hope to be reading this week. A lot of them are middle grade books because they also fit some middle grade March prompts. So I'm just kind of like including those in here because I have a lot of Korean middle grade books that I'm super excited about. So two of the books are Linda Sue Park books. The first one is Seesaw Girl, which takes place in 17th century Korea, which is definitely like a different setting for historical fiction. So I really like that. This is a really short book, so it should not take me very much time to read. There are some illustrations too, which take up page space as well. So basically this is about a young girl, and because she is a girl living in Korea, she's not allowed to leave like her father's household. She can't go beyond like the courtyard, but she wants to, and I think this has to do with her like getting out and exploring the world. My next Linda Sue Park book that I am hoping to get to this week is When My Name Was Kyoko, and this is actually about Korea when the Japanese imperialists came in and took over during World War II. So the meaning of the title of the book is when the Japanese came in, they actually forced all the Koreans to change their names from Korean names to Japanese names. And so that's kind of where the title comes from. So this is about a girl and her family. Beyond that, I don't really know very much about it, but I love Linda Sue Park. So hopefully I will get to this one. And then my last middle grade book that I have is When You Trap a Tiger by Tay Keller. And I love this cover. I just think it is absolutely beautiful. It deals heavily with Korean folklore, if I'm not mistaken. I have not really read anything else about it other than that. But my daughter and I are currently studying Korea in school because we love BTS and K-pop. So we are studying all things Korean, including Korean folk tales. So I'm interested to kind of see how this plays in with some of those. And then my one adult book that I'm reading is Please Look After Mom by Kyung-Suk Shin. All that I really know about this book is it is about like a mom who goes missing and her children are looking for her, and as they're looking for her, they find out things about her and about her life that they had no idea about. So I'm really looking forward to reading this one. This could count for the prompt of a translated work and also a book recommended by a Korean celebrity, because I know RM from BTS loved this book, and I think a couple of the other members from BTS also enjoyed this book. So we're counting this for that. So this is the book that I'm probably the most excited about reading. Christy Lewis from Dostoevsky in Space read this book, I think maybe last year, like towards the end of last year, or maybe the beginning of this year. I can't remember, but she really enjoyed it. So I'm really looking forward to reading this one. So in addition to reading some Korean books, some of the other non-bookish prompts are to watch a K-drama or a Korean movie, and then also to make a Korean dish of some sort. So I am already planning on watching some K-dramas. I am watching one with some friends, and then I'm also watching one with my husband. So I'll probably watch 2 episodes of K-drama this week. And I have some really yummy recipes planned. So I am going to include those in there, and I'll have like links to the recipes in the description of the video. So that way, if you want to try to make them, you can too. But I'm excited. I think it's going to be a really fun week, and I'm really excited to read some Korean books. Good morning. It is Tuesday morning, so day 2 of KOREADATHON, and I've already finished a book. That's really not that much of an achievement because it was Seesaw Girl, which is like super duper short. But yes, I finished this yesterday and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really sweet, interesting, lots of great historical background that is happening, talking about Korea and talking about like the period of isolation that country went through, where they basically only dealt even in limited quantities with like China and Japan, but closed themselves off from all other nations, which I didn't even know that was a thing. So that was kind of explored in here, as well as the role of men and women in society and how difficult it is for the main character because she's a girl and she's actually unable to leave like the inner courts of her home. She's not even allowed to go to the outer courts for fear that strange men will see her. And this was just a rule for wealthy families. So she's able to get out and sees that like other girls don't have the same kind of rules that she does. So it's just a very interesting exploration of Korean society at the time. So I really enjoyed this book and definitely recommend it. Like I said, it's super short. I don't even know how many pages. 87 pages. Like I said, it's not a huge achievement that I finished it. And there's a really interesting author's note in the back, along with a bibliography of books that she read that helped her like write this book. And I really want to check out quite a few of these because they sound very interesting. I also started Please Look After Mom, and I'm about 40 pages in, so not very far. I'm enjoying it so far, but I was really kind of taken aback because I had no idea that this book is written in second person. And I don't think I've ever read a book written in second person other than like a choose your own adventure book, which this is obviously not. So the whole thing is written like you do this and you do this and your mom goes missing. And so it's very interesting. I don't think I've ever read a book written in second person. And when I first started, I was like, oh, I might hate this. And I don't. I actually kind of like fell into the writing style pretty quickly. So I'm thankful for that. So basically all that's happened so far is like that the mom has gone missing. She's elderly and she was visiting the city with her husband and they get separated and then none of them can find her. And she's kind of like reflecting back on her relationship with her mom and finding out these things that she didn't know about her mom or things she didn't notice when she was younger, living at home, or even before her mom went missing, things she just didn't notice, and kind of having this realization of like, did I really know her at all? There's like a lot of like melancholy tinged in this and like regret, I think, at least so far. I'm very shortly into it, so the tone may change, but just a lot of like wishing that she had done things differently when she had the chance. But yeah, I am really enjoying that. So far that is all I have read. I have not started the other 2 middle grade books that I have. And I don't know if I will, or if I'll finish this one first, or if I'll have a middle grade going at the same time. We'll kind of see where the mood takes me today. My plans for today are to do school with my daughter, and we are studying Korean stuff right now because we love all things Korean right now. So we've been learning the Korean alphabet and reading some more about Korean history, reading some Korean folktales, and we are also reading another Linda Sue Park book, A Single Shard, which is about Korea in, I think, 11th or 12th century and like their pottery and stuff, which they're really famed for. So it's a very good book. I've read it before and now I'm reading it with her, so that's really fun. And then also my daughter's starting softball and her first practice is tonight, so we'll have that going on as well. I did already watch an episode of a K-drama, so check on that prompt. I will probably watch at least one more episode sometime throughout the course of KOREADATHON, also like with my husband and the show that we're watching. So, but I have fulfilled the prompt either way. So I guess I've fulfilled a couple of the prompts already, which feels like way to go when I'm only on day 2. But like I said, Seesaw Girl was really, really short. That's day 4 of the KOREADATHON, and yesterday I read the entirety of When You Trap a Tiger. So this book I knew was primarily based in Korean folktales, but it seems like it's like primarily one folktale that is like woven throughout. And I have like mixed feelings on this book. On the one hand, I feel like the writing is really beautiful in places, but in another way it seems like deep and metaphorical for like younger children to grasp. Like my daughter is 9, almost 10, and I don't think she would get like the overarching themes that this author's trying to write. It almost felt like it was written for adults who like middle grade, if that makes sense. There's a lot of themes of like grief and dealing with all of that, and there's some like very unhealthy family dynamics and families dealing with grief in very negative ways, and the way it wraps up in the end I didn't find satisfactory in that vein. Like all of a sudden everything's fine after they had one brief conversation, and I just feel like if it's a book that's written for children, I think it's really helpful if it has positive examples of things. Like I love books where there's conflict between friends or family members or whatever, and then it shows healthy ways to resolve that, because then I feel like it's actually helping kids as opposed to furthering harmful behaviors or thought processes. There's also a teenage older sister in this book who is like sneaking out at night to basically spend time with a significant other that no one in her family knows about. And I found that kind of troubling in a middle grade book, because I feel like the mom never finds out and the younger sister like never tells anyone. She feels like it's her secret to keep, and that sisters should keep each other's secrets. So it's never dealt with. It's just like acted like this is a good thing, this is a normal thing. And while it might be for some teenagers, first of all, I never snuck out, and actually neither did any of my friends, now that I'm thinking about it, or my husband. Like none of us ever snuck out in high school. So it doesn't have to be like this normal thing, but it seems like something that is not the best thing to be putting in a book for 8 to 12-year-olds, because I feel like it's something that could very easily be emulated. I did really like the characterization of this book of the main character. I felt like the other characters really didn't have much characterization. I felt like they were very stereotypical, especially the older teenage sister who's just like mad at the world, and she was just very stereotypical. Although, I mean, she had reason to feel that way, but you know, it still just felt like a stereotype. But the main character is very shy and quiet and feels like she's supposed to be, because her older sister is like the rock the boat kid. So she feels like she has to stay quiet and she can't express how she really feels. But I do feel like there was growth in her in like learning her voice and learning to kind of juggle conflicting feelings and stuff. There's this whole thing that ties in with the folktale that is represented in this story of like the grandmother in the story kind of like bottling up her feelings and bottling up her story because she feels like it would make others too sad to share with them. But we don't get a lot of context as to what that is. So for that reason, I felt like the end felt kind of flat to me, as did kind of like the revelation of like what's going on with this tiger and all this stuff. I felt like some of it was either like too deep for middle graders. Not that like these topics are too deep for middle graders, but just the way it was written just felt like it was trying to sound very like flowery and deep, which is fine because I actually like flowery writing, but this just felt like very like metaphorical and deep examinations of things that I feel like feels a bit much for this age range and for the story itself. I don't know, I just feel very conflicted about it, which is sad because I was really expecting to love this book because it seems like almost everyone does, and it was a Newbery Award winner for the year that it came out. So I was just expecting more than I got with it. I'm also still working my way through Please Look After Mom, and I'm really enjoying it, even though it's not really what I was expecting at all, and that may change as it goes through. But I mentioned before that it starts out like in second person, and it's representing like the oldest sister of the family. And in the second section of the book, we've switched perspectives to the oldest brother. And so as we've switched perspectives to him, it's actually switched to a third person narrative instead of a second person narrative. So I guess the whole book isn't in second person. I find the characterization very interesting, and I find the topic very deep and melancholy, more so than I expected, because I'm just seeing, especially in the older brother, I saw it in the sister too, but in the oldest brother, he is just so sad, like the whole time thinking about things that he could have done differently, and wishing that like when he moved out he hadn't just kind of like pushed his mom aside, and he had made these promises to her, and he's like, wow, I never kept my promises to her, and maybe now I never will because she's missing. And so there's just a lot of regret as he's looking back, and it's really sad. I'm gonna share like some quotes from it because as a mom, this like really tugged at my heartstrings. So this is the mom, and she's talking to her oldest son, and she said, "You're my first child. This isn't the only thing that you got me to do for the first time. Everything you do is a new world for me. You got me to do everything for the first time. You were the first who made my belly swollen and the first to breastfeed. Later, I was happy to see your fingers and toes grow every day. When I was tired, I went over to you and opened your fingers, touched your toes. When I did that, I felt energized. When I first put shoes on you, I was really excited. When you toddled over to me, I laughed so much. Even if someone had spilled out a heap of gold and silver and jewels in front of me, I wouldn't have laughed like that. And how do you think I felt when I sent you to school? When I pinned your name tag and a handkerchief on your chest, I felt so grown up. How can I compare the happiness I got watching your legs get thicker with anything else? Every day I sang, grow and grow, my baby, and then one day you were bigger than me. Even though I said, I hope you grow tall and big, when you got bigger than me, I was scared, even though you were my child." Like, as a mom reading that, I was just like, because that's kind of how you feel when your child is growing up. Like, it's exciting to watch them become who they're going to be, like to watch their personality develop, to watch them grow bigger, to watch them be able to gain independence and skills. It's so exciting. But then it's so bittersweet because at some point you realize it's over. That's it. Like, they don't need you for this anymore. I'm getting kind of emotional just thinking about it. I mean, my daughter is 9, but 9 is halfway to 18. And so stuff like that just like pulls at my heartstrings because I always feel like it's just going by too fast. And even though like I stay home with my daughter, I'm still just like, I don't want to miss a single second. So anyways, this book is more emotional and regret filled than I was expecting it to be, and I don't know what kind of turn this is gonna take. Like, I don't know where the mom is, but this book is focused much more on who this mom was, what she did for her children, and then realizing who she was at this point where she has been missing for a while. And I don't know, it may pick up in pace, but it is very slow paced and just very reflective. And I'm really enjoying that actually, because I tend to really like slow paced books with characterization. So I'm going to continue reading this one. So it is about time to wrap KOREADATHON up. But before I do, I did finish Please Look After Mom. This book is just, it's very different from anything that I've ever read before. And it's very sad and it's very reflective and melancholy. So I do feel like this is a book that you kind of maybe have to be in a certain mood to enjoy it while you're reading it. It's not really plot driven at all. It doesn't end up really being this big mysterious thing like I was wondering like it would. It's just very slow paced, and the book has 4 sections, and each section is basically one person's narrative of like what they remember about mom and regrets that they have, wish they had done differently. So yes, it's really amazing. I feel like it was really well constructed. The writing style is really funky because 2 of the 4 narratives are written in second person, so you instead of like me or they, you know. So that's really interesting and very different. But I really did enjoy it a lot. Towards the end, it was just getting like really heavy and depressing, and so I was definitely like mixing this book with other books that I was reading simultaneously, because I needed a little bit of levity in the midst of like kind of a more heavy book. So I got other books read this week as well, but I'm pretty much only talking about my KOREADATHON books in this reading vlog because that's kind of the point. So I did read 3 of the 4 books that I had. The only one that I didn't read was My Name is Kyoko by Linda Sue Park, which is a middle grade book. And could have fit for a middle grade March prompt, but Seesaw Girl and When You Trap a Tiger also fit that same prompt. So I'm fine with not reading it. Overall, I think it has been a really fun week to read a lot of different books set in Korea, and one that was even translated from Korean, and cook some really delicious food. I was gonna say and listen to BTS, but I was doing that anyway. So I guess that's not really any different than normal. If you participated in KOREADATHON, I would love to hear what books you read during that week, and also if you have any Korean books to recommend. It doesn't matter whether they're like YA, middle grade, or adult. I'm interested in them all, and they don't have to be translated from Korean, like the Linda Sue Park book that I read that's written by a Korean American, and I'm pretty sure When You Trap a Tiger is too. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please hit like and also subscribe so you can continue to see more bookish content from me, and I will see you again next time.